I'm calling the meeting to order at 9:30 a.m. Members of the public are invited to participate in this meeting of council by attending the meeting in person at the Ilderton Community Centre located at 13168 Ilderton Road, Ontario. Members of the public may also access the meeting, which will be live streamed on our Middlesex Centre YouTube channel or by contacting the municipal clerk to receive a registration link to join the meeting electronically. Members of the public wishing to appear as a delegation can register for the meeting by visiting middlesexcentre.ca, participating council meetings, or by contacting the municipal clerk at our office number by 4:30 on the Monday of the week of the scheduled meeting. All requests to delegate are subject to the provisions of the Middlesex Centre Procedure Bylaw. Members of the public can choose to delegate in person or by electronic participation. Accessible formats and communication supports are available on request. The municipality of Middlesex Centre recognizes that we are gathering on the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, and Lenape peoples. We acknowledge the enduring presence of First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people on this land and are committed to moving forward in the spirit reconciliation and request. Now, item 6.3, the delegation request is an addition to the agenda. So you'll see that in your package. And I'll look now to council. Are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest? Seeing none. Then the first item today is the Court of Revision. The motion before us is that council adjourn its regular meeting at 9:32 a.m. to sit as the Court of Revision for the next Stokes drain. Members of the Court of Revision are Deputy Mayor Brennan, Councillor Arts, and Councillor Shipley, with Deputy Mayor Brennan being the chair. Is there a mover? Councillor Arts and Councillor Coles, all in favor? And that's carried. I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I will call this Court of Revision to order. At this point in time, we have no appeals have been filed with us. I'll check the clerk to make sure nothing's come out last minute. No, there hasn't been. There was a revised schedule on this one, but there have been no appeals for that either. So, do the members of the committee have any questions? None? There's no need to deliberate any further. The decision is that the Middlesex Centre Court of Revision approves the revised schedule of assessment for the Bear Creek Drain Lock Branch, provisionally adopted by bylaw 2025-017 as amended and outlined in the report prepared by Speed and Associates, and that the corresponding bylaw be forwarded to council for final reading. And further, that the third revision adjourn at 9:43. I should have saw a mover moved by Councilor Shipley, second by Councilor Arts, all in favor. So moved, and we adjourn at 9:34. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy. We're going to change the order of the agenda for the delegations. We're going to start with the delegation request to disposition of surplus property for 13 Mile Road. And we're going to start with Margaret Slasley, who's here on behalf of the Optimist Club of Bryanston Burr. And if you will come forward, we'll get you set up. Your worship, members of council, members of administration. My name is Margaret Selassie. I am appearing this morning on behalf of the Bryanston Burr Optimist Club. We are here, all of us, here to oppose the proposed sale of the Bryanston School Park. We trust that you have read our written submissions that we made on March 3rd, 2025. My comments this morning are not, I'm not going to repeat them, they're in addition to what's in our written submission.
But we are here today to urge council to please reconsider Council Resolution 2024-008. That is the resolution that was passed on January 15th, 2025, declaring Bryan's school property surplus and directing staff to proceed with its sale. In our view, the 10-acre park is of tremendous value to our community. The amenities of the park are not surplus to municipal needs. The contemplated 2-acre school park as a replacement park for our 10-acre park represents a step backwards. The annual rent for the building property currently $30,000 and growing is sufficient to cover the cost of the repairs for the building. Furthermore, take issue with the council's process relating to this matter. The municipality did not hold a public meeting to consult with the community in advance of passing the resolution. The council did not place the resolution on its January 15th agenda. And after the resolution was passed on January 15th, no one from the municipality picked up the phone or drafted an email to tell us that the resolution had been passed. We first learned of the resolution about a month after the fact from the public notice that was published in February as a precondition to the sale as required by the municipal's bylaw. Our club's written submission is one of 54 comments sent to the clerk opposing the proposed sale. As you have read and hopefully gleaned from our attendance here this morning, it is our community's collective view that our 10-acre park, with its athletics fields, playground, courts, and shade trees, greatly enhance the well-being of our community. The property has served our community since 1961, when Prince Andrew Public School was built. In 1984, upgrades were made to the property, and it was renamed Prince Andrew Community Recreation Center. This undertaking was a joint project between the optimists, the Township of Vineland, and the Middlesex County School Board. There's still a plaque on the premises commemorating this project. When Prince Andrew closed in 2009, the municipality, fortunately for us, exercised its option and acquired the property. This allowed our community's continued use of the recreation center's amenities. The Optimist annual Kennedy celebrations in the park have been a community tradition for over a quarter century. It's a day-long event offering a full plate of activities and ending with spectacular fireworks. To say the fireworks are well attended is an understatement. Park cars stretch on both sides of 13 Mile Road down to Adelaide. On July 1st, everyone in the area goes to Bryan's School Park. It's what we do. As the 54 ratepayers who wrote to you have made clear, the park serves as an outdoor hub for recreation, exercise, relaxation, but most importantly, for community connection and fellowship. The staff report on today's agenda confirms our position that the property is not surplus to municipal needs. That report identified the 3-acre ball diamond that needs to be carved out from the 10 acres currently designated for sale because the municipality needs it for continued baseball usage. In a similar vein, pickleball and tennis enthusiasts here today say the courts are required for continued pickleball and tennis usage. And as you have read in the written comments, individuals with experience with organized soccer in this community are advocating for the retention of soccer fields. As the mayor has said, Middlesex Center is a growing community. With it, the need for access to green spaces and athletic fields will only grow. The contemplated 2-acre park in Brownston is an unsatisfactory substitute. For now, in 2029, when the current lease has expired, if a suitable tenant cannot be found, replace the building with a pavilion. But please do not sell the property now to avoid the expense of repairing the building. The $550,000 the municipality will receive in rental revenue for the building between now and the end of the lease on December 31st, 2020 is more than sufficient to cover the building's necessary expenditures. Your current rate payments are speaking out. As the CEO explained recently, the purpose of the public comment requirement in section 3.4 of the municipal bylaw governing the disposition of land is to ensure that council is operating above board and is listening to the public's perspective. Section 3.4 sub C of that bylaw expressly states that council must consider the comments received. We say that the comments received in attendance here today compel you to walk back the surplus declaration in its entirety. Please make this right. Reconsider resolution 2024-008 and rescind it. Thank you.
The next speaker coming up is Mr. Arnold. He's a member of the public and he was also delegated to speak to us. See this in the red thing, I'm going to push my button and it'll go off. Push your button and then it will be activated.
Hello, my name's Charlie Arnott. I live on 12 Mile Road. I've lived, growing up in this area my entire life. I was born here. I'm 62 years old. Ever since the start of the early 70s is kind of when I have a recollection of the Optimist Club. And so it's been a part of my life for my entire life. So in no particular order, I think Martin Zalassi has made the argument financially, logistically, the function that the park currently serves. I think our area is underrepresented. I think if you drew a map of where all the money is focused and concentrated, it's well served in Kamoka, and then it just spreads out from Kamoka. And by the time it gets to our part of the township map, it's getting pretty sparse. So this is kind of all we have. This is our thing. And maybe I think in talking with one of the counselors, I got a real sense that this was enlightening to them, that they just didn't have a sense of this. So we had very candid, personal conversation, and I got a sense that we got understood a lot better. And I think today we're going to get understood a lot better. Mark touched on the fact about being notified, and yes, it kind of hurt to find out at a dinner meeting in November that this decision had been made. And you know, in your bylaw, it speaks of the amendment to the bylaw speaks of phrases like adequate forethought and information gathering, transparency, flexibility, and responsiveness. And I think we fell short of that. And I think in hindsight's 2020. I don't think there's any bad people here. I think it was just a series of events that has got us here today, because I think it's much better to rationalize things and argue things before a decision is made instead of making a decision and then trying to undo it. I'll add one other thing. I see our Canadian flag here. I think this is also another time for our community, our country, everyone here to unite and to preserve what is right. And in all this despair, there was a quote I saw in a video last night by a very wise lady, and it was basically just if you can't fix the world to just try to do one good thing today, and that's the best you can do. So I'm hoping you can consider doing that. I would speak that because it's a work day, because it's the morning, it's what is it, Wednesday today, people are working. So there would have been a lot more people here if they didn't have to work for a living. So I'm also a person with a little sense of humor, I would like to think. So I remember trying to watch some council meetings and I couldn't hear what was going on the YouTube videos. So I think you could really improve your acoustics in here and your microphoning, because I quite honestly could not understand what was being said. And the text thing at the bottom that's trying to understand what's being said is not very adequate. So I would ask you to look into your audio video capabilities and make meetings much better. Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, we're gonna take a recess soon. Two. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so 8.2 is everyone there? Okay. So this is the report CAO 8/2025 status update on the disposition of property 13211 Elderton Road. And I'll turn it over to, there we go.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through the chair, the intent of this report is to inform council in respect to the process of which there are two properties that council declared surplus a couple of meetings ago. The purpose of the report is just to outline the process in terms of how it will unfold. And so I'm just open to any questions at this point and to take council direction in terms of how they would like to proceed, to confirm, to process and to move ahead with the disposition of the both properties, or to put a pause or take whatever direction council wishes at this time. So I'm happy to take questions.
Go ahead, Councillor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wrote a few notes down here. I think Margaret touched on most of my notes, though. Appreciate both Margaret and Charlie with their comments this morning. Obviously, there's people here for the reason of the property. I myself received no less than 50 emails, probably 20 phone calls. I know other councillors received the same amount, if not more. I bumped into some people at the community center on voting day, some businesses around the municipality. Same thing, do not dispose of our property. A little history maybe on where we're at this point, and maybe to bring Councillor Coles up to speed. Councillor Arts and myself sat on the 2021 budget and 2022 budget. At that point, the school was holding its own with the rental agreement. We could see down the 5-year capital. We had a lot of expenses coming up in 24, 25, 26, and we weren't going to maintain that with the amount of rent we were receiving. At that point, we were all kind of a bit of a loss, I guess, at the point of the agreement on the contract. We had another 5 years with no rental increase. Michael did reach out to Infrastructure Ontario and just kind of said, we have another 5-year lease. We'd like to negotiate the contract. Basically told him to read the contract. There's no negotiations. Fortunately, somebody else took over. I'm not sure who it was, the infrastructure CAD, and Michael reached out to them again. And kudos to Michael. He's able to get an increase of $5,000 a year for the next 5 years also. So taking those numbers now and with what Scott provided me with the rental, we are pretty much holding our own on the cost of the building. It's been a long couple of weeks trying to decide what the best thing to do is. I take my hat off as a counselor and look at the whole picture. I agree with what Margaret said. It's hard to give up 10 acres for 2.5 acres in return. That just doesn't seem right. So there's also the possibility of demolition of the school. There is a lot of asbestos in the school. The report shows there's actually asbestos in the parging on the cement. Do we ever get a cost on demolition? No, we haven't at this point. Councilor Arts and myself went through a lot of different possibilities with the property, but after 3 or 4 days, we decided we're still at the same situation. Those possibilities weren't really feasible. I know Scott has taken a lot of heat from constituents on this whole thing. I guess the best way to put it is he needs direction from council. It's council that gives the direction to all the directors over there. I sat in one of those chairs for a year. I understand what they're saying. Like if council doesn't give direction, they have nowhere to go. It's hard for budgeting processes and what to do. And Scott's managed to keep the building going, but as we all know, everything needs repairs. As a municipality, our landlords, OPPR tenants, we're obliged to maintain the building up to standards. There's no cutting corners in regards to patching stuff up to get by. It has to be maintained to the extent of what the agreement is. There's probably dozens of ideas that could be done to the school property as well as the property the municipality owns beside the community center. However, we're not at that point yet. Regardless of what happens today, the school property is not available until the contract with the OPP runs out January 31st, 2029. I'm going to say this is a hard decision for councilors. I know Councillor Cates went through the same thing a few years ago with the Camoki Community Center. Puts us in a difficult situation. We look at both sides of it and try and weigh out the best way to go with it. So before the deputy clerk cuts my time off, at this point, I'm going to ask council for discussion and support the motion I'm about to make. My motion to read as follows: that the council for municipality Middlesex Center defer the disposition of the property of 15327 32 Mile Road, known as the former Bryson School, until such time the property lease with the current tenant lease expires January 31st, 2029. And I'll look for a seconder on that motion.
We have to do the vote, right? Okay. So I have a mover and a seconder. I'll call a vote. Thanks. All in. No.
Through the chair, once a deferral is in accordance with procedures, there's no conversation. A deferral is to defer the matter altogether.
Councilor Bruce, just for your information, I've just checked with the CAO. The rule book says if the motion is denied, then there can be conversation, obviously, about how to move forward. Okay, so we have a motion before us, and we have a mover and a seconder, so I'll call the vote. All in favor? And that is carried. Okay, thank you. Now I'll call a recess, and we will actually wait till the room can get clear. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes.
Just have a quick shot of Mark.
We're in recess. We're waiting for everybody to clear the room so we can move through the agenda that's before us. Okay, I'm sorry. There's a procedural bylaw and a rule book. Yeah. Okay, if you don't want to leave, then we'll move on with our agenda. Okay, so I don't think they want to stay, they can stay. Yeah, they can stay. Yeah. No, they're not. Okay.
council has suspended the disposition of the property, so there's going to be no activity. The property is saved until 2029.
Okay, we're all back again. So the next item up on the agenda is the delegation request with respect to restricting heavy equipment use in residential communities. Is Katrina Collins here to speak to this? Okay. Going once, going. Oh, Stephanie is, okay. I don't think she's here. Okay. Okay, in that case, we should go to the MPAC update. If Ms. Collins comes, I can always move her after. So we'll go to number 6.4. Brenda Slater, MPAC is here to provide an update to council. I'll turn my mic off, and if you push your button, then you'll be on the system.
Good morning. Thank you very much, Your Worship, members of council and municipal administration. It is always a pleasure to come out and see everyone. And it was a beautiful drive to Middlesex Centre this morning. I just wanted to start off on the first slide, which I always include in my updates, just to share. The next slide explains our role in the property assessment and taxation system. And one of the things I've done this morning is include a little bit more information in the slides so that I won't be as long for my delegation. So am I changing the slides or? Okay. I can keep talking, no worries. But our role in the property assessment and taxation system, as you know, MPAC is responsible to assess and classify all properties in Ontario in accordance with the provisions of the Assessment Act and other legislation set by the Government of Ontario. Municipalities, as you know, determine your revenue requirements, you set your municipal tax rates, and you collect the property taxes. On the next slide, we're speaking to the provincial system review, and the Ontario government is currently conducting a review of property assessment and taxation system. And as a result, they have paused the next reassessment until the review is complete. The review is focusing on fairness, affordability, and the impact of property taxes. We continue to share the government's interest in ensuring the transparency and the fairness of the property tax and assessment system. We are committed to this continuous improvement, and we are continuing to provide our assessment expertise and experience to the review. And as we work through the review, we understand the importance of regular assessments, the importance of the exchange of information between MPAC and municipalities. And as well, it's very important that we build enhanced products and services that not only meet municipal needs, but also the needs of property owners. On the next slide, just briefly sharing an example of a property assessment notice. The assessments continue to be based on a January 1, 2016 valuation date, which was the last time there was an assessment update. As an example, we do continue to send property assessment notices in a non-assessment year if there's been changes to properties. For Middlesex Center in the fall of 2024, we sent out just over 1,381 assessment notices. As I mentioned, our work in a non-assessment update year, this is just some of the examples of the work that we're doing. Just over 129,000 interactions with our customer contact center. And if you receive inquiries from property owners, we do recommend that you direct individuals to our customer contact center as that first point of contact. We're also speaking to just over 1,800 municipal engagements and council meetings like I'm here today. It's really important, again, to reaffirm the importance of the regular assessments, again, improving the exchange of information between municipalities and property owners as well, and all about improving and enhancing the products and services that we provide. And the next slide is just speaking to one of the campaigns that we've introduced, which is the Myth versus Fact campaign. And we know that our property assessments are used to determine and distribute property taxes. Our assessments are also used by banks, by insurance companies, by real estate agents as well. So there's a number of different uses for the assessment values that we provide. The other campaign, of course, is the assessment versus taxation. We have a number of new tools available again for property owners to understand how the changes in their assessment may impact and has a relationship to the property taxation. And the slide is a little video. It's a couple of minutes and it is available on our website. Similarly, on the next slide, we're presenting it in a different format as well. And understanding that when the assessments are changing, and every year we provide a new assessment role to our municipalities with all of the new assessment details for changes that have happened during the year. It's important to understand that the most important thing is not necessarily how much the value of your individual property has changed, but also how it has changed in relation to the other properties within your class. So when all of the properties are changing, and if they're changing in a similar manner, then also taken into account is the municipalities setting their revenue requirements. And it's those two factors that would not then determine your new property taxes, et cetera. The next slide again, it's all about awareness and understanding who MPAC is and the work that we do. So again, we're just presenting this in a different visual. Similarly, as I've mentioned, if your property has changed less than the average of every other property in your class, versus if they're similar changes, versus if your property has changed higher than other properties within your class. Continuing our focus on building awareness about who MPAC is and what our role is. Also about how to get in touch with us and where to find the resources that property owners require. Lots of information on mpac.ca. As well, we do have social media campaigns. We've introduced a number of new videos. It's all about trying to make things a little bit easier to understand and easier to access. We have a new awareness campaign. This is a very short video to explain again why property assessments are important and what our assessment values are used for. I believe these are all links as well in the presentation, so you may be able to click on those to watch the videos live, if not, of course, on impact.ca. Supporting municipalities, very similarly, we introduced a number of toolkits that shared resources for you to use on your social media platforms, on your website. And these were all about the new first-time homeowners hub, everything you need to know about how MPAC assesses new homes. And I actually think it's relevant for any property owner. Again, your social media campaigns, the myth versus fact information, toolkits on About My Property as well. So in this pause of the next reassessment, we've taken the time to really introduce a number of new tools and resources. The next slide, just briefly, again, how we're supporting our municipalities, doing council presentations like I am this morning. I also encourage you to subscribe to our monthly In Touch. It's an e-newsletter. You can subscribe on our website, and it's typically 1 or 2 pages. And it really hits all of the highlights on what is happening and shares all of the current information that you may be looking for. And there's always links that you can, if you're interested in something, you can click on that link and get more information as well. And anyone is able to subscribe to that. The other thing we're offering is a number of webinars. The next one that's coming up is on April the 17th. We typically send out the invitations to our municipal partners. But again, they're all recorded, the webinars. So if there's one that you're interested in, they're all on our website. So you can go back and view that at a later date. As I mentioned, the next slide About My Property. This is a free online tool for property owners. They can go in, take a look at their individual assessment and compare up to 100 other properties within their community. It's really a fantastic tool. Again, we're continuously introducing new information. I'll share on the next few slides some of our new Insight campaign, which is really exciting, where individuals can see real-time assessment values for their properties. And the other thing as well, we're now making this tool interactive. So individuals can go in and update their mailing address, for example, directly on the site. As well, if you wish to file a request for reconsideration, which is asking MPAC to review the assessment, that is available on the site as well. So the next slide is our property insights, and I may have shared this, you may have heard about this over the last year. This was introduced last year, and it's actually very an interesting tool. When you first get onto impact.ca, it's the housing inventory map. You do need to watch the 2-minute tutorial before you're able to pan around on the site. I'm rather impatient, so I kept trying to drag my mouse around, but it will take you through about a 2-minute tutorial on how to understand the information you're seeing, and then you're free to sort of pan around. I did notice too, it can be a little bit slow. There is a lot of information on the site. It is sharing assessment information, real-time values for municipalities right across the province. So I'll just share on the next slide. You're able to look at the how the assessment inventory is broken down for Middlesex Centre, and this is in the 2013 taxation year. And the idea is to show you how many homes are in the different price range and how it was broken down across your municipality and by the different property types. So whether it's a detached home, semi-detached, etc. The next slide by comparison is your 2018 year. And then also for the 2023 year, which is on the last slide. And again, I won't speak to all of the numbers. I just wanted to include that for your reference. The other exciting tool that we introduced was the Property Pulse dashboard. Now, the difference with the dashboard is this is available through About My Property, so for property owners only. You're able to select your municipality. You're able to select the sale years that you're interested in, your builts, if there's specific residential properties that you're curious about, As well, you can look at the median sale price for certain properties and the number of sales for those properties. So for Middlesex Center on the next slide, and I did notice that it says Middlesex Center Township, so I will bring that to our IT's attention. I didn't notice it till I sent the presentation out. But again, you can look at any community across the province for comparison. So it's a really nice tool that we've introduced to give someone an insight onto how the values have changed. Last slide, you can learn more about what we do. Our new annual report will be coming out in April. And again, it's always available on our website. And I encourage you to reach out anytime. I hope everyone has my contact information. And I noticed they've used an old photo of me. I had a little bit, I think my hair looked actually better in that slide. I was just thinking, a little bit more gray since then, but you've got my contact information in my email, so please feel free to reach out anytime. Thank you very much.
Thank you kindly. I'll look to council for questions and comments. I'll start with you, Councillor Arts.
Through you, Madam Mayor, to Brenda. If I go on the website, I can see my real-time values of my property, current ones. And I know you have to have direction from the provincial government. But if you've kept track of all our current time values, why are we still on our tax notices going by 2016 values? Like down the road, sooner or later, we're going to have to bring them up to date and it's going to be a mess. Thanks.
Thank you for the questions and the comments. That's correct. We are still based on a January 1, 2016 valuation date. We do have all of the sales data. We continue to ensure that data on individual properties is kept up to date. We are sharing some of those insights as well. And then we are awaiting direction from the Ministry of Finance on when the next reassessment date will be. And again, that will be once they finish their review. And we will share more information as we have it. And as I mentioned, sometimes in our In Touch newsletter as well, we can share updates if we have those as well. But we are awaiting the ministry's direction, as you mentioned.
Okay, I didn't have any other questions. Oh, you did. Go ahead, Councillor.
Okay, just a comment to Councillor Arts. It's political. The Conservatives were going into an election. They didn't want the price of houses to go up. And I'll say it. And so they've stifled it right there. She can't say it, but that's what it is. And I don't know how many people talk to me about that. The value of my house is going to go through the roof. My taxes are going to go through the roof. And I go, no, but how do you explain that? But it's optics and it's political. So I don't mind saying that. There you go, Councillor Art.
I don't see any other questions. So I just want to thank you very much for coming. I find your information and your updates. You're always working on new apps and ways of, I'm registered on there. I can go in and look at mine too. So it's really very easy and there's a lot of content there. So thank you again for coming. We appreciate your time and effort to do that and keep in touch. So enjoy the rest of the week. Okay. I haven't seen anyone pop in. I was just checking to see if the other delegate has come in. We're going to move on. So we now need to go to 7.1, adoption of the minutes. We have a motion before us that the minutes of Middlesex Center Council held on February 26th be adopted as printed. If I could have a mover, Councillor Shipley, Councillor Cates, thank you. All in favor? And that's carried. And then we have consent agenda. There are a number of items here. 12 to be precise. I know Councillor Shipley, you want to speak to you wanted to speak to an item here. Oh, it's okay. All right. Is there anything? Oh, Sir Cates, you've got an item.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to give a shout out to the diversion, equity, and inclusion policy, and it's great to see that we continue and carry forward with working on this. Thank you.
Councillor Brennan?
Through you, Madam Mayor, to the CEO, do we have any update on the Illerton properties at this time?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. And I was just mentioning to the Madam Mayor, the Chair, Council has deferred consideration of the Bryanston School site earlier this morning. We'll approve the consent agenda, but it makes sense for Council to provide a separate motion to confirm the report, just so that gives staff direction to proceed with the disposition of the former CIBC building in Ilderton. So we would want that motion, and then we can do the rest of the consent agenda.
Okay, so we're going to do with that motion. I have a mover and a seconder, Brennan and Cates. And I'll call the vote on that one. Okay, that is moved, that is passed, pardon me. And I'll just check in, is there anything else on the consent agenda that anyone wants to ask about or comment on? Seeing nothing, then we have a motion before us for the consent agenda that items 8.1 through 8.12 listed on the March 12th, 2025 agenda be adopted as recommended. Oh, sorry. Yes. So it should read 8.1 through to, we're skipping 8.2. You can document it 8.3 through. Okay, so everybody's clear on that. We're going to call the vote on that. I have Councillor Arts moving and Councillor Coles. Thank you. All in favor? And that is carried. Okay. All right, that takes care of the consent agenda. And now we can move on to staff reports. And we have the asset management policy. Our asset management coordinator, Aubrey, is going to be presenting that report to us. When you're ready, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor DeBeat. To the chair and member of council, the policy in front of you is part of best practice as outlined in ISO 55000 and 55001. As you may have already known, the Ontario regulation for asset management 58817 are based on these two international standards. However, the regulation itself is very narrow in scope. The international standards provide a more comprehensive framework, which I believe is beneficial in the long-term sustainability and viability of our asset management programs. Simply put it, the Ontario regulation tells us what needs to be done, or some of it, and in terms of asset management, while the international standards not only tells us what needs to be done, but also how to do them. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you for that. I'll look to council. I see Councillor Arts' hand.
Through your Madam Mayor to Aubrey. This plan only, like if there's a subdivision that hasn't been built yet, that doesn't go into asset management plan until the subdivision is completed or partway through the process, or how does that work?
To the mayor, to Councillor Arts, that is correct. We don't include it in our asset management plan until we assume the property, the subdivision. However, best practice, we should be planning from the start in terms of life cycle, or we should be saving like in the beginning when the subdivision is being built, basically.
Last call. I don't see any hands. In that case, we do have a motion before us that the report PWE 16/2025 asset management policy be received for information, and that the attached asset management policy be approved. Oh, Councillor Burrs and Councillor Cates, all in favor? Okay, that is carried. Thank you for that report, Aubrey. And now we can move on. We have correspondence items. There are 7 here. Does anyone wish to speak to anything, or yes, go ahead, Councillor Cates.
Through you, Madam Mayor, I think that one of them is a motion from AMO. I would like to make the motion.
So that is the motion, we have a motion then with respect to community space for tariff impact. That's the one. And do I have a seconder for that? Councillor Burrs, and I'll call the vote. All in favor of that? And that is carried. Thank you, council. So, yeah, I'm just going back to that one. So now we can move that the Council for Municipality Middlesex Center receives correspondence items 11.1 through 11.6. All in favor of that? I have Kate's and Brendan and all in favor? And that is carried. Okay, very good. Thank you. I now have a motion that Council for the Municipality of Middlesex Center adjourn to closed session at 10:21 pursuant to section 239(2) of the Municipal Act as amended to discuss the following matters. 239(2)(c), a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality, post-acquisition Ward 4. Do I have a mover for that, please? Councillor Shipley and Councillor Coles, all in favor? And that is carried. We'll just take a moment to get transition to that session.